Welcome to a new audio commentary, a bonus episode from the Pablo Held Investigates podcast. This one is about my new album, Unity, the seventh album on my own label, Hopa Lead Records, with my long-standing trio, Robert Landfermann, Jonas Burgwinkel and myself, and guitarist Nelson Veras, with whom we have done a couple of albums already, Ascent and Descent on Edition Records, and Adventures also on Hopa Lead Records. So this one is a continuation of that, and we recorded this at Bauer Studios in Ludwigsburg. Johannes Kellig was the engineer, and he also mixed the album. I did additional recordings on synths and other stuff at Studio Lutz, private home studio of my friend Oliver Lutz, and it was mastered by Christoph Stickel. I'll tell you a little bit about the music. I'll react spontaneously while listening to each track, and you'll get some background info on how we recorded it or how I composed each piece, what it means to me. And I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening. Alright, Unity, the title track and opening track to the new album. There's lots to talk about on this track. Let's start with the composition first. In a summer vacation in 2023, actually with my family and the family of Jonas Burgwinkel, my drummer, I was reading a biography book on Maurice Ravel, one of my biggest inspirations and heroes. And I always go back to him and find new pieces that I haven't heard yet or read something new about him. Anyways, I was reading this book, and while reading I listened to all the things mentioned in the book that I hadn't heard before. And this was the only music that I granted myself to listen to. And I've done this in several other vacations already, where I kind of either listened to no music at all or just said, okay, only one person, and just focus on that one person and see what it does to you. Because in vacation time, I usually don't have an instrument with me. So I just usually use that time as an experiment also to see how my playing changes or my approach changes when I then get back to an instrument afterwards. I don't know why or what happened, but I was at that home in France alone at some point, and I had some sheet music with me and just wrote down melodies. Forgot about them again, and it went into the pile of ideas to maybe work on someday. And then in October 23, bad news and about crazy wars and several wars, and were all of the media, and I was shaken by it, affected by it, and very pessimistic for a while, and didn't really know what to do, and felt powerless in a way. And I started to have the urge to write something which has a more optimistic view, and kind of tapping into that feeling that we as humans, these days there are so many things that divide us, political views, discussions on gender, and so many injustice out there, and poverty and religious beliefs and all these things that can seemingly divide us. But I wanted to tap into the feeling that there's lots of things that are maybe hard to talk about, as you can see right now, or hear right now, that actually connect us. There's something in us that transcends all of these things, that transcends gender or political views, religious beliefs, ethnicities, and all of these things. There's something that makes us all human and connect us all. And thinking about that fact and that concept inspired me to write. And I kind of wanted to write something that is has a hymn vibe, anthem vibe a little bit. And in this very, very dark time, I needed to have something in the music that celebrates the human spirit. So that's why I called it Unity. And we tried to record it in a setting where we first just recorded it as a quartet version where I was playing piano and, the others were playing their instruments. But listening back to it, I felt like the way we approached it was very, very energetic, very active, high energy. And so we recorded this basically acoustic track of piano, guitar, bass, drums. And then I overdubbed tremolos and swirls on the celesta, which was also apparent in this great studio. I had a celesta there, and I also brought my synths. And when I then recorded the celesta swirls, I recorded after that the melody of the piece with my mellotron, with the flute sound, the flute that you're actually hearing right now. And then I felt like, this celesta and this flute, they kind of bring a new texture, obviously, to the song, and a new kind of energy. Let's see what happens if we mute Robert and Jonas and the piano. So all I had was flute, celesta, and Nelson Veras playing the guitar. And this was more soothing, this was more still energetic, but a little bit more relaxed. So then I recorded different synths on my Novation Summit, which laid the harmonic groundwork a little bit more. So we had that. I left open the solo section in the middle, which we just reached, I think, to overdub a solo later on. And then I asked Robert and Jonas, respectively, after each other, to record a new track. At first I asked Robert and said, okay, just focus on the bass notes and just support the chords and don't really do much else. Just play the roots, add something here and there, but we need a little bit more quieter approach. And then I had Jonas, after Robert was done, Jonas came back in and recorded a couple of different approaches, and we took, I think, take number 2, which was a good mixture of energetic but quiet and still supporting the melody and this new kind of texture that we had. And also I think I asked Nelson to record another guitar track on top of that. So two guitar tracks. And I recorded the melody, I just noticed, not only with the mellotron, but also with a certain sound on the Novation Summit also. It's the thing that just went do-do-do-do-do. So it's like two melodies at once. And then I played the solo in the middle. And then we had a totally different a different sound for this piece and a different energy, and something that was missing in the beginning. I wrote Scoville in 2013, and back then we played this live with Chris Potter, and then a year after that with John Scofield. Back then it was still a ballad. And in 2023 I kind of reworked the whole piece and gave it another spin, added a few sections, and over a couple of months I was working on it. And then I took it to the studio. I think we also kind of played it live already with Nelson and the trio. Again, challenging piece. We still struggle with it when we play it, but it came together nicely in the studio. Although what you're hearing now, the synths, there was actually piano there. Piano and guitar. And I erased the piano tracks for the first half of the track because I kind of heard these other colors and recorded them afterwards at my friend's studio, my friend Oliver Lutz, who helped me a lot with overdubs on a lot of my recent releases on my own label. So at first we recorded the backgrounds that sound a little bit like an organ maybe. And then we looked a long time for a sound that could serve as a lead sound that could go nicely together with the guitar. And now you hear a stingy background sound, which is one of the very, very slow patches on the Novation Summit. And I played around with that, kind of put a lot of my arm and a lot of additional fingers on the keyboard and accompanied the guitar solo like that. And after that we felt like this is a nice color for the start of the solo, and then we took it out, fading it out, and it comes back in a different other moment. And actually this sound we copied to the beginning of the song. So where I told you about when I wrote this song, this is what you heard. Various layers of that sound that actually now comes back. We layered a couple of those on top of each other and had me play an intro, a melodic intro with the lead sound. And now the piano reoccurs. I mean, not reoccurs, but comes actually to life for the first time. So the pianist just arrived at the session. Just in time to comp a little bit for Nelson Veras and then take a piano solo. And from then on, it's piano on the track. But there'll also be some additional synth chords as backgrounds in the solo. Nelson was just playing over the pedal or the bass vamp, and I'm playing over the changes. Backgrounds enter. inspiration for this song also came from lots of the older Scofield albums from the 80s. Still Warm, Electric Outlet, records like that. I love all of Sco's catalog, of course, but those are the ones that I also grew up with as a kid. Also another sound emerges from the Innovation Summit. We'll hear this later on also. And here's a little blues at the end. I don't know if it's a blues, but it's 12 bars and it's a coda for Nelson and me to go to the next gear, basically, and have fun at the end. We're back to the acoustic setting, but the backgrounds and several other background melodies that I kind of improvised and assembled at the overdubbing session will arrive shortly. Remember this one? It'll reappear also. Now there's another. There's another melody coming. And now the final coda. Gruta Azul used to be called Azul, was also a composing result of the summer vacation in 2023 that I had. A little idea that I had while playing the board game Azul with my daughter. And while I did my turn, I had an idea. So I finished my turn, rushed to the house. We were playing outside. She was doing her turn, and I quickly wrote down that idea. It turned out to be a very, very different song than the one that you're hearing, but the core idea is still there. You can hear an earlier version of this song when it was still called Azul on YouTube when you look for my trio, and I mean not my trio, look for Pablo Held trio and Melissa Aldana. A live recording from the Cologne Jazz Week, where you first played it in that first version of that song. We had fun with Melissa, but I was not satisfied with the recording and felt that there's a different life possible with this song. So it took me a couple of months to find another approach for it and work with that approach and reconstruct the piece. So basically what was before chords were now arpeggios, and that created a melody. And those chords are gone and basically happen on top of a pedal, two pedals, E flat and G flat. And after we've done that, there's another part which is an E major. Oh, there's another part, and then the E major part comes, after which we return to the pedal over which I'm now playing a solo, which isn't really a solo because also it's more interactive, and Nelson also joins in shortly, and it's kind of just a free moment which starts out with a pedal. That's the only thing that we agreed upon. At first we tried to play over the form of the song, and then we kind of said, no, let's just play as if the song would continue and just play with the material of the song a little bit and then see where it leads us. Jonas is playing a beat that we had on our very first album, Forest of Oblivion. And we kind of return to that beat often. I asked him to play it quite often. You also hear it on Who Are You, on the Who We Are album. He also plays it there. and now we kind of are in the quartet zone. We had been playing, it was still called Azul back then, with Nelson. That's already the new version, but still the old title. And then I told Nelson, usually when we play this, I usually have a image in my mind of climbing through or going through an underground cave. Like a cave with water. What's the name for that in Portuguese? Because azul is Portuguese for certain kind of blue. And he said gruta. And I said, nice, sounds good. But what about gruta azul? What would it mean? Blue cave, underground water cave thingy? And he said, actually, in the town where I come from, there's a beautiful underground cave which is blue, and it's called Gruta Azul. So I thought, all right, that has to be the title now. So that's why it's called Azul. Robert brings us back with the pedal, and we go to the B section. Also, you're hearing not only the acoustic quartet, there's also the celesta and more colors from the Novation Summit. And now the coda brings back the core idea for this song. I always wanted to write a choro, and this is it. This is Nelson on the beach. My goal was there to write a continuous melody that doesn't have any pauses. It has a few eighth note pauses maybe, but it's pretty much going through. We start out in duo, and at a certain point Robert and Jonas join us, and some more synth backgrounds. We had been playing this live for a while already, maybe a year, and it was quite challenging to get it together in the studio. Oftentimes you play something for months live, and it's no problem to play it in the studio, but sometimes it can get tricky, especially with a melody like this where in a way each note has to be there. Yeah, those colors come from my Novation Summit. Just subtle chords to have the harmony a little bit strengthened. And now we're off to the solo form, which is based on the second part where Robert and Jonas, where they join, took these harmonies, simplified them a little bit, and created a form out of it and put it into a different key. So it's still connected to the song. It's not just some solo form with cool chords. It's pretty much part of the song. And yeah, Nelson shines over these chords. Cool thing about the Bauer Studios is that It's a legendary studio where lots of famous albums have been recorded. Keith Jarrett was known for being there. We listened to albums where there's Evan Jones recorded there, Paul Motion, lots of great people. But my main emotional connection to this studio is my late teacher John Taylor, who recorded many albums during the time actually when I was studying with him for the Italian label Cam Jazz. He recorded there sessions with Kenny Wheeler, also with his trio with Martin Franz and Palle Danielsson. And these albums mean a lot to me. Okay, back to the melody. There's a little pickup for the melody. And they have two grand pianos there. Both are great. But one of them is the one that John Taylor played. And you get to choose which one you choose for the recording session, and of course took the one with the JT history in it. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I can feel it. And of course it brings back memories for me too. With all these great recordings from there, I hear the sound there. John also used the celesta that I used in the track before. And so it was nice to tap into that connection. Time jump a little bit. Just to mix it up a little bit, we wanted to have that part even faster than in the beginning. But now we come back to the slow tempo in a moment. Now, here. This is the only acoustic track on the album. Every other track has some additional background or overdub, and this one is just how we would play it live, basically. It's called Bandits, and it's sort of an answer to my previous composition, Scouts, from the Who We Are album. This is also kind of a blues with the bass groove reminiscent a little bit of Dizzy Gillespie's piece Salt Peanuts. I was thinking of that a little bit when I was writing it, or afterwards I was like, oh, this sounds like Salt Peanuts. And it's just meant as a little invitation which has a certain energy and certain vibe for us to start improvising. We play 2 times. At first we just hear the bass groove, and then we play 2 times the melody, and then we just see where it leads us. This time it led us to this mood here. And we're still playing with material from the song. I love when Robert comes in with the arco. Yeah, to ground what's happening on top. I think this is also made up out of 2 takes. We just took the head out from another take where the head out worked better. Yeah. But head in and solo or improvisation is from 1 take. And Johannes Kellig found a nice way to splice them together. Sometimes I find I have specific time information where I say like, okay, from minute 2:31, take 1, go over to 4:17, take 3 or something. And sometimes I just tell the person that I'm working with, in this case Johannes Kellig, we need to be in this take for the head out. Find a way. Don't tell me how you did it. And I don't really know how he did it, but I think it sounds great. Yeah, still playing with material from the song. I think you might be able to hear the cut if you pay attention to what I'm doing and how quickly I'm switching to playing the melody again. But Robert actually nicely takes us through the form of the song. There. I could have played it, I guess, but it's a little bit different tempo than the head in, but also this could have happened also in an improvisation live, where we start out in one tempo, play something free in between, and play the head out in a different tempo. Song Noir 2 is an answer to, obviously, Song Noir 1, which you can hear on my solo album, Embracing You. The thing that connects both pieces is the mood, I think. This one we also played live with the quartet before we went into the studio. It consists of 2 parts: the basic form of the song and a coda, which you will only hear at the end, which is more involved again with overdubs and a little bit more post-production, as you'll hear. But before, we're in the acoustic zone. The song starts right on, although there was a drum intro before, but I kind of wanted to have the clear start of the song right away. I notice when I listen back to my albums that I have more, I guess I'm more inviting with, I invite the players to play more intros and stuff like that live. But for records, maybe that comes from the composer's mind a little bit. I kind of want to start right away with the songs. But I feel like maybe I should have some more intros here and there to set up the songs. Beautiful bass solo. Although we had like quartet situations where Robert was already solistically involved, this is the first real bass solo on the record. It's amazing how he plays over these chords. Piano solo takes over. Same form. And Nelson later on plays over the coda, which you'll hear in a minute. kind of want to talk about the piano a little bit more. Isn't it a great instrument? No, just kidding. The piano in the studio. I can really hear how inspired I was by the sound that reminds me so much of these John Taylor albums, as I told you before. It has a very, very clear attack and clear sound, although it's quite old already. But it's really inviting if you want to play percussive things on it. And I really dig the clarity, the clarity in the sound. Robert was in front of me in the studio, on the other side of the room though, but we were in the big room together. Jonas was in a booth and Nelson was in a booth. Now we've reached the moment where we go into the little coda. This was recorded separately. And now the celesta comes back and the novation with that nice little patch which starts out very softly and then has a crescendo in the built-in basically. And Nelson plays over that form. The celesta was also a big part of the Song Noir 1 from Embracing You. And in fact also we recorded Song Noir 1 with the trio on the album Lineage. Yeah, of course, at first it was just piano, bass and guitar and drums recording this section. And then I added the celesta and the novation. And now Nelson is disappearing into a big church. And the drums as well. And the bass as well. You can still hear traces of the bass a little bit, but the guitar is gone and what's left is piano, celesta and novation. This piece is dedicated to my niece and my nephew, who were just born in the beginning of 2023. Both my sisters became parents or mothers at the same time. And I was moved by that, obviously. I'm a father of two, and of course there's sometimes the thing where the waiting period to become a father or for the child to arrive is different, obviously, for the mother than for the father. And then the fatherly feelings sometimes come when the child is there, and they come all of a sudden, and you can't really. Yeah, it's amazing how it's just there, those feelings, that love that's just there. And I felt a similar thing happening when I was a little bit more detached thing, of course, but felt a similar thing when I became an uncle. Just the pure happiness that my sisters had these amazing kids, and I wanted to write like a welcome song for both of them. So this is Ruby and Anuri. And there's this part actually, that's what I'm talking about. There's a part in the song which should create the illusion of growing. That's something in the harmony where the slash chords that I'm using there are, to me it sounds like something that's growing and expanding. Little synth overdubs for the growing part. The growing part of the song, which always comes back, so I emphasized it a little bit with those synth colors. And now the overdubs, those colors, they stay with us for the whole song. Caroline Davis is somebody who I played with this song with, great saxophone player, and that part we just heard, she said it reminds her of one of the moments in the soundtrack to Twin Peaks. And I feel that too, since every time when we play this now, I have to think of her saying that. Now we loop those, the little section at the end for a little coda where we both solo a little bit. Anyways, that's it for Unity, the new album. Thank you so much for listening. It was nice to revisit this music with you, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.